G'day guys, how's it going? I'm here to bring you the next video about Gemcraft 2 Chasing Shadows. I almost said Gemcraft Labyrinth then. That would have been embarrassing. Let's see, return to the main. Now, as you can see, I'm going to delete this one because this was just me showing you guys what it was like at the start. I'm going to continue my actual game, and as you can see, I've chewed through a little bit of the game. I've gone through quite a lot of these map tiles, these yellow hexagon tiles. Each of them has, like, I think 6 fields. I think it seems reasonably consistent that each of them have 6 fields. Oh, this one only has 5. Unless there's a secret field hidden here somewhere. That's an interesting thought. Let's see now. This video I'm going to explain some stuff to you, and then the next video, just to keep it short, the next video I'll actually go ahead and play this field that I love playing at the moment, because it gives me a sole opportunity to start really sort of boosting up my shadow cores and boosting up my talismans and stuff to make myself a little bit more powerful for all of the battles. But let's see, where did I leave off? Before, I was explaining to you about a whole bunch of stuff, talisman, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. Let me show you what you might want to, at the very least, try and achieve as quickly as possible, is to get enough fragments for, 5 inner, 5 edge, and 5 corner fragments to fill up your talisman, so they give you a grand total of a lot of good stuff. That's kind of the goal, so at least you're giving yourself a good chance of winning some of these tougher battles, because you will get a lot of tougher battles. Let's see, I touched on shadow cores, but I'll touch on them a little bit more. As it says here, you use them to upgrade your talisman fragments, you use them to activate battle traits, I'll show you that, and you can use them to boost fragment drop rarity. Now, first of all, talisman, yep, I've got these. Let's just pretend this particular fragment wasn't upgraded to level 4. It was upgraded only 2 of 4. Then what I would do is I would go ahead and upgrade fragment, click on it, and then it would go ahead and steal some cores from me to do exactly that if I had it. Now, I have 197, but let's say a more realistic approach, if you're starting the game really early, you only have like a few cores, maybe 9, and you get a fragment like this, and it's rarity of 4, which is very low. The cost of upgrading this fragment once might only be 2 cores, for example. So upgrade it, 2 cores. Next upgrade, 3 cores. You spend 5 cores all up, upgrade your fragment the most, and then you put it in your talisman, and it gives you the biggest bonus it can. Some fragments give you more chances to upgrade than others. Some fragments give you more bonuses than others. I think it's a color-coded system as well. These grey ones are crappy. These bronze ones aren't so bad. These gold ones are pretty nice. Don't know if I've seen any silver ones, but this blue one is very nice. This is the best one I have so far. Rarity 32. That's pretty cool. It's got 4 extra modifiers on it, and I could have upgraded it 5 times, so that's pretty cool. How do you go about getting these fragments? Well, they kind of drop semi-randomly during the games as you play them. You go into a field, you might just so happen to, upon killing any random monster, there is a small chance that you can have a talisman drop, or you can let go of some shadow cores that you just get automatically. So essentially, killing monsters increases your chances of getting more of these good things. So don't be afraid to go ahead and play a lot of fields over and over and over again if you like them, or just keep on charging through the fields. Keep playing, good things will happen. That's the general gist of it. Shadow cores, let's see, drop rarity range. Now, if you have a look at this drop rarity range, I've got 1 to 22 plus 10, because I clicked this once before and it's still got my option loaded. What happens is you can say, okay, for the next fragment I want to increase the rarity of whatever it is by an extra 10 from whatever it is. So let's say I go ahead and play this field. The next fragment that drops, it will be a fragment with a rarity of anything between 1 and 22. And when the game has gone ahead and selected that, it's just going to dump an extra 10 to its rarity to make it a much better talisman. And then it's going to calculate, you know, what sort of traits it will have, you know, based on its rarity, how expensive it will be to upgrade it with shadow cores and all of this stuff. So you can increase the rarity of drops by 10, but having said that, you cannot increase it more than 10. If I clicked on this again, spent another 100 shadow cores, it wouldn't make this plus 20. Instead it would say, okay, so instead of the next fragment having an extra 10 on its rarity, the next 2 fragments or 3 fragments will have an extra rarity, you know, added onto it. So clicking this just adds the number of the next fragments that you get in this level or any other level. Actually, I could go ahead and go out of this level, go into say another level, and it still saved my preference of wanting my next fragment to be a better rarity. That's basically that explained. So if you want to get better fragments, go ahead and save up your shadow cores and pump this up a little bit. Another thing that affects the rarity of your the talisman's fragments that it drops is by going ahead and fiddling with these battle traits. Now I'll explain these in a second, but just to give you an example, remember the range started out as anywhere between 1 and 22. I've pumped up. I've got 4 battle traits that I can unlock now. There's 9 all up. I only have 4. I pumped them all up. Now my drop rarity range is between 7 and 32 plus an extra 10. So technically the best I can get is 42 as a rarity for a talisman. That's pretty bloody awesome if I have to be honest. But I'm not going to do that because I'm not suicidal, and I know for a fact that I will not win the game that I'm playing by doing that. So, battle traits. Let's have a look at the battle traits. This was the first one that I collected. You get these sort of semi-randomly throughout the world. Actually, I don't know if it's randomly or if it's traits that you pick up after beating certain fields. So go ahead and play all the different fields that you can, as many as you can. Try and beat them all. That way you can increase your chances of getting extra stuff like these, or maybe extra skills that you can, not skills, spells that you can cast in the game. I'll explain those later at the next video, actually, when I actually go ahead and play this particular field. I'll show you a bit of gameplay and I'll explain that in detail. But for the moment, I'll explain the battle traits. This particular one's haste, so you can upgrade each of these traits to a maximum of +7 every time you add them or upgrade them. As you can see on the right there, I'm losing shadow cores. 187, 182, 176. It costs you shadow cores to go ahead and make the game tougher, but at the same time you're increasing the amount of XP that you're going to get by beating the level. At the moment, if I went ahead and say upgraded these 3 particular battle traits, or let's say all 4 of them, twice, my XP multiplier is now 3.4, and my drop rarity range actually went up 1. So there you go. It's better all around, but it's going to cost me 12 shadow cores. You decide basically, what's worth it and what's not. Some traits are definitely harder as battle traits to deal with than others, and I'll explain that in a second. So really it's up to you. I can only give you some guides. I'll go ahead and explain this one now. Hastes, 7% faster wavestones. So in other words, the wavestones move up a little bit faster, which means there's less time in between them, which means the game moves along a little bit faster. If you're struggling, it might overwhelm you. If not, then whoop-de-doo, it doesn't really matter. It won't hurt you. So I'm quite happy to go ahead and pump that up a couple of times every time I play a game. Pardon me. Also, with all traits, every single trait that you upgrade let's say, for instance, ignoring the fact that there's different traits with different effects and stuff. Let's say I went ahead and did this. I've got 3, 1, 1, 2. Add them all up equals 7. And that is the amount of extra waves that I will be adding onto all of the wave stones at the end. Yes, that's right. You upgrade these battle traits, you prolong the amount of monsters or the amount of wave stones that actually come through the game before you finally finish the field. So there's something else to keep in mind. It seems to be common across all wave stones. Oh, some of them are special, like for instance this one, the giant domination wave stone. It will add wave stones, as many as you upgrade it per time you try the field, but it's specifically wave stone of giants. Or if you're endurance, it's going to increase the number of wave stones that giants would have been in by an extra 5%, so more common in endurance. Other than that, it's just random waves, I think. Let's see. Haste, I've explained that. Makes the wave stones go faster. That's not too bad. Mana lock is interesting. Basically, instead of mana being distributed to you whenever you kill something, you know, your mana goes up, your mana goes down, it reacts to the game in real time. If you have mana lock on, for example, then your mana is distributed to you a little bit differently. At 1 times game speed, in this particular instance, I've got mana lock upgraded once, which means gathered mana is given to me only every 10 seconds. So what it does is it accumulates the mana, and you can see that in a number underneath the number of mana that you actually have in your mana pool. As you go ahead and, you know, time goes by, mana goes up. You destroy monsters, mana goes up. You attack a mana shard and mana goes up. But it will accumulate in a number underneath, and only when that 10-second, there's like a little loading bar that happens at the bottom of the mana pool, at the top center. When that finishes loading, that's when all of the mana that has been gathered goes ahead and adds on to the mana that you can actually spend, and the process goes back to 0. The load bar goes back to 0, and it all starts over and over and over and over again. That's basically how it affects this particular mana lock battle trait. Affects your mana. It's an interesting, it's a very interesting mechanic actually. It changes things quite a lot. 10 seconds is not a lot, because if you think about it, you can play the game at 9 times speed, so really it distributes your mana to you once every a little bit more than 1 second. It doesn't really hurt much, but as you can see, you pump this up to maximum 100 seconds. That's a significantly long amount of time to not get extra mana that you might need if you're, say, I don't know, struggling and you're banishing monsters left, right and center, or you really want to upgrade that gem now, that sort of thing. It does change gameplay quite a lot. It's an interesting mechanic. I usually pump it up to 2 at the moment in this stage of the game, just because, yeah, why not? Gives me extra XP as a multiplier, and doesn't really hurt me that much. I'll let you fiddle around with that for yourself and see how you can go with it. Let's see, Giants. Giant Domination is another trait. I've got Giants have 30% thicker armor and 5% more hit points and speed. And of course, the more you upgrade this, the more that buff is. So basically it makes Giants bigger and better and badder and faster. Plus it also adds wave stones of Giants. Lastly, this one. I honestly don't like this one. I tried it once and I got so overwhelmed it was ridiculous. Beacons are basically little towers, kind of like the beacons that you did find in Gemcraft Labyrinth, in that they are never ever positive for you. They are beacons that somehow buff either other beacons or the monsters that you're attacking, and it can make your life really difficult. This particular beacon storm, what it does is it adds a random beacon to a random spot on the map every 3rd wave, and you can imagine if you have 40 waves, that means you're going to get a total of about you know, something like 13 or 14 beacons. It's going to yeah, they're all going to affect each other and the monsters, and the effect's going to snowball out of control if you don't keep on top of destroying these beacons as soon as they arrive. So it's an interesting game mechanic, but it's a really difficult game mechanic, and I really encourage you to avoid using it early in the game because, like I said, I tried it and it was ridiculously difficult. Upgrading this more does not increase the frequency at which beacons come up, but more just the rate of fire that each beacon can do, plus also gives it more hit points and armor, making them more difficult to destroy. And that's all the battle traits I have at the moment. Let's see now. Pardon me. What can I explain that I haven't explained already? There isn't really much. Just try and get as many of these random little achievements as you can, just to get a few extra more skill points, because as we know, more skill points means more starting mana if you don't spend them. Let's see. Talisman, like I said, try and get Shadow Cores as much as you can, because that enables you to go ahead and spend them on your fragment rarity booster, which means you can get more rare fragments, which means you can put better fragments in your talisman, making you have a much better stance than you would normally have at the start of and during levels. How do you do that? Well, notice how I've been hovering on, I've had field H3 highlighted this whole time. That's because, now it is a wizard tower location, that's not so interesting. What is interesting is, I encourage you to go for this particular field when you've got it, if you can comfortably beat it every single time, because it has apparitions and even specters that fly through it randomly. You can get anywhere between 3 and 6 from what I've observed at any given time that you play it. Apparitions are just like they are in Gemcraft Labyrinth. They don't hurt you, they just fly across the screen. If you destroy them, you can get around 20-ish Shadow Cores for each time you do destroy them. So it's just easy Shadow Cores. You times that by 5 or 6, you can end up between 70 Shadow Cores and 140, or I think I've had 148 Shadow Cores at once playing this map. I've played this field quite a few times, so I recommend it if you want to hunt Shadow Cores. Also, Specters are faster moving apparitions that are, instead of being white like apparitions, they are sort of like a dark-ish, what is it, burgundy colour. They move faster and they go straight for the most powerful gem that you have on the field. And if they actually get to that gem, then you can see that it's collected that gem, and it will just keep going, and it will take away that gem if it reaches the edge of the map, meaning you will lose your best gem, and that will essentially end the game for you, most likely. That will kind of suck, but don't worry, there are ways of easily defeating them if you can see them and spot them fast enough before they go ahead and grab your gems. You can sort of freeze them and safely attack them from a range, bringing them down, or you can play mind games with them. You can, you pause the game, move your good gem back into your inventory, and then it will change directions and go for the next most powerful gem. And you can either, give it a grade 1 gem like that if you're clever enough, or what you can do is you can keep on pausing the game and have it move back and forth between, towers as you move gems around to sort of waste time. And then eventually what I do is I like to kill them, because if you destroy a Spectre, you get usually around 13 to 15 Shadow Cores. So again, more Shadow Cores for you to collect, and more Shadow Cores is good for you and your talismans. Get the point? Good. That's it for this video. Next video, I will actually go ahead and play this field, and I'll show you just a little bit of gameplay, and hopefully I'll be able to show you exactly what I just explained, because I know words are only words. A picture tells 1,000 words, so imagine how many words a video can show. That's it from me. Have a good one. See you next video. And happy hunting.